It was a dark and stormy night. The kind that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. I was alone in my house, curled up on the couch with a book, trying to distract myself from the howling wind and pouring rain outside. But as I turned the page, I heard a creaking noise coming from upstairs. I brushed it off as the old house settling, but then I heard it again, louder this time. Slowly, I got up and made my way to the stairs, my heart pounding in my chest. I reached the top of the stairs and peered into the dark hallway, but I couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. Just as I was about to turn back, I felt a sudden chill run down my spine, and the hair on my arms stood up. Without a warning, a figure appeared at the end of the hall, a ghostly figure dressed in tattered clothes, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. I froze in fear, unable to move as the ghost slowly floated towards me, its hand outstretched, beckoning me to follow. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It all felt so real. And then it spoke. "Come with me," the ghost whispered. Its voice echoes in an empty hallway. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My legs moved on their own, my body compelled to follow the ghost. As we passed through the halls, I could see the once familiar rooms of my house transform into something dark and sinister. Shadows seemed to dance on the walls, and I could feel a sense of dread and unease wash over me. We finally stopped in front of a door, and the ghost gestured for me to enter. I hesitated, but something inside me told me I had no choice. I slowly opened the door and stepped into the room, my heart hammering in my chest. The ghost followed behind me, its cold breath on my neck. The room was a scene straight out of a horror movie. Cobwebs lined every corner, and the walls were covered in an eerie green glow. In the center of the room stood a chair, and on it sat an old man, his face twisted in an expression of pain. He was surrounded by strange symbols, candles, and I could feel a sinister energy radiating from him. I knew instinctively that he was the source of the haunting in my house. Who are you?" I managed to choke out, my voice trembling. The ghostly figure behind me began to hover towards the old man, and suddenly its form became more solid. Its face changed to a young woman, her eyes filled with sorrow. "I am Sarah, and this is my father, Robert," she said, her voice laced with pain. Sarah then proceeded to tell her story. She and her father had lived in this house many years ago, but they were wrongfully accused of witchcraft and were burned at the stake. Ever since then, the spirits had been trapped in this house, unable to move on. "He wants revenge on the people who wronged us, and he wants you to help us," Sarah said, her eyes pleading. My heart filled with compassion for the spirits, and I knew I had to help them. The old man, Robert, had been seeking revenge for years, and I was the only one who could help him. "What do I need to do?" I asked, my voice shaking. Sarah led me to a hidden room in the house, where she showed me a black book filled with ancient symbols. She explained that this book contained a powerful spell that could break the curse and free the spirits. All I needed to do was read the spell out loud. But as I began to read the spell, the room grew colder, and the candles flickered ominously. I could feel a dark presence filling the room. and I knew I had to finish the spell quickly. Just as I was about to read the last word, the book suddenly ripped from my hands, and the ghost of Robert appeared before me, his eyes blazing with anger. "You dare to try and break my curse? You would never leave this house alive!" he shouted, his voice echoing through the room. I could feel his icy grip on my throat, choking the life out of me. But then, I remembered something I had read in the book. A talisman that could banish evil spirits. With all my might, I reached into my pocket and pulled out the talisman, holding it up to Robert. He let out a blood-curdling scream as he banished from the mortal realm. The house fell quiet, the darkness and eerie green glow dissipating. Sarah appeared before me, her form now fully solid. "Thank you," she said with tears in her eyes. "We can finally rest in peace." And with that, the spirits were gone, leaving me alone in now the peaceful house. As I made my way back to the room, I couldn't help but think about what just happened. It all seemed so real, and I couldn't believe I had just helped two spirits cross over to the other side. From that day on, the house was free from its haunting, and I never experienced anything out of the ordinary again. But deep down, I knew that the spirits will always hold a special place in my heart. And though it was the scariest experience of my life, I knew I'd never forget the night I befriended a ghost.